Hi, I'm Kendrick Diaz, and this is Verse by Verse, a short podcast all about exploring the insights and lessons of the inspired Word of God. Today we're looking at John chapter 1, verse 18. Now there are two statements in this verse, and the first one goes like this. No one, the apostle wrote, has seen God at any time. Now you hear that, you read that, and you think, what? Didn't Adam and Eve walk and talk with God in the Garden of Eden? What about Jacob, who wrestled with God until daybreak? What about Moses? Actually, there are several instances in the Old Testament where people actually saw God. So what's the answer? Well, a couple verses earlier, John explains that there are two beings who are both called God. You have God the Father, you have God the Word. The people who interacted with God in the Old Testament were actually encountering God the Word, who became Jesus Christ. Now, maybe you never heard that before. Maybe that's something your pastor never taught you. Well, I actually have a very helpful article that explains all of that, and I'm going to link it in the show notes because there's information there that is very valuable. Now, the second statement goes like this. The only begotten Son who is in the bosom of his Father, he has declared him. This is talking about Jesus Christ. And where is he? Well, he's not on earth. He's not off in the desert hiding somewhere. No, it says he's in the bosom of his Father, present tense. And the rest of Scripture tells us that he's actually at the right hand of the Father in heaven. He's sitting with him on his throne. But again, this verse tells us something interesting, that not only is Jesus Christ with God the Father, but that he has declared him. In other words, he made him known. But how did he do that? Well, in chapter 14, verse 18, we read about an interaction between Jesus and one of his disciples. And it explains a lot. Philip said to him in verse 18, Lord, show us the Father, and it is sufficient for us. Jesus said to him, have I been with you so long, and yet you have not known me, Philip? He who has seen me has seen the Father. Jesus showed us who the Father is by the way he lived his life, by the way he acted, by the way that he talked, by the way that he treated people. And maybe you've experienced something similar. Have you ever had anyone come up to you and say, you know what? You're just like your father. Or maybe they came up to you and said, you know what? You really remind me of your mother. Well, that was absolutely true for Jesus. If God the Father had been the one to come down and become a human being, he would have had the same mind, the same approach to life, and the same exact character. So have you ever wondered what God the Father is like? Well, all you need to do is look at the example of Jesus Christ. The book of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, they tell us everything we need to know about the kind of person God is. So we don't have to wonder, we don't have to guess. Jesus Christ showed us who the Father is by his life.
Verse by Verse is a companion podcast to the Daily Bible Verse blog, which you can find on the Life, Hope, and Truth Learning Center. Check out the show notes for more.